Welcome to the Sports Trebuchet podcast. I'm Marty.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Josh.
And we are joined by Jay. Do we want our last name?
That's fine.
You have it in your Twitter. We never have.
It's out there. So Jay Cranfill at Jay Cranfill on Twitter.
Excellent. Jay's joining us from the Partial Recall podcast. It's at Partial Recall with an underscore at the end. Jay, you want to talk about the podcast and just what I guess talk about Jay too? Talk about yourself.
Well, something makes you tick.
Yeah, something I love to do. Well, I was born several years ago.
A man met a woman at a dance.
Yeah, they thought they loved each other. In the end, who knows? Partial Recall, that is me, and the founder and really the life, the blood of the podcast is my partner, KJ Ellis. You can find him on Twitter at KJ Ellis. You just use ones for the L's because he takes no L's, which is, I think he has that tattooed on him somewhere. It's unconfirmed at this point, but it's really KJ's 80s and 90s nostalgia podcast that he lets me be his partner in crime on there. But
did he fail recess because he doesn't play any games?
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate too. But nostalgia podcast, 80s and 90s stuff. I mean, we're kind of all over the map topic wise. Over this last year, we did an episode on the show Married with Children. We did about an hour and a half on the Columbine shooting. We did like 80s and 90s food fads. KJ's done episodes on just like chips and soft drinks. It's pretty much, we just kind of do whatever we want. And to be honest, we're set to record tomorrow and we'll put together an entire episode. And I can tell you right now, neither one of us have any idea what we're going to talk about, nor have we prepared. And that's what makes the show great.
That sounds familiar. I do want to suggest to anybody that's listening to check out the podcast and to look it up. You have to it's all on the Blowout Podcast Network, right? It doesn't have its own feed.
It's got both. You can access it either way, but if you go through the Blowout Podcast Network, you also then engage with several other great podcasts that you will enjoy some on a weekly. Us, it's more every other week, but most of them are on a weekly basis. Yeah,
it's honestly the coolest and kind of the most off-putting part of y'all's podcast was the laugh track during the Columbine episode.
Yeah, I get accused of enjoying that topic so much. I am just more fascinated by it, but some people are a little... They consider it off-putting that when the topic comes up that I get real excited and like, yes, let's please talk about that.
Yeah, you just go in guns blazing. So let's use that. Let's use that as a way to kind of get to know Jay a little bit. So I'm assuming, I know you're a little bit older than us, right? So Kyle and I are both 33, 34-ish, right?
Yes.
And Josh just turned 30.
How
really?
Thrilling. Absolutely thrilling. Yep.
Jay, how old are you?
42.
Are you really 42?
Yeah.
A 42-year-old school shooting enthusiast. I never thought I'd see that.
Hold on, I have to write that down because that would make a very good profile on Twitter.
It's a byline.
Yeah.
That's a Tinder cheat code.
42. Yeah. So I think I've gotten to the point now. I've already outlived Jesus. About to outlive Elvis.
Hey, we're in that club. I outlived him too. We're good.
So when Columbine happened, you were out of high school then?
Yeah, I was in college.
So you never got to experience what high school was like after that. And
no.
And I can't speak for Kyle or Josh. They'll speak for themselves in a second. But I started at a brand new school. We were the first class in that school. And I never knew that it was normal to have lockers in high school because we didn't have any lockers because of Columbine.
That's weird. Lockers had nothing to do with their plan.
No, but I guess they figured it was a good enough spot. Those little half-wall lockers that are about 2.5.
Let's be honest. Lockers are out to get you. They're planning something. They're part of it.
It could be. I mean, it's yeah. I see. They're just taking away opportunity, but I figured you were just going to say that they outlawed trench coats and duffel bags full of propane bombs.
They did do that. No band T-shirts
at all.
No band T-shirts, including like a Tim. You couldn't wear there was people that had to turn their Tim McGraw shirts inside out.
that doesn't make
Who's laughing?
Sense.
Who is that? You brought the Columbine laugh track to the show.
that'd be my wife, making a run in right now.
Man, I would have had to discard all of my Slipknot T-shirts at the time if I couldn't wear them to school after that. That'd have been a tough time for me. But no, I was beyond high school, so I never had to worry about any of that stuff.
We definitely I was in 8th grade when it happened, and we were in the same building as the high school. There was definitely 2 days later a bomb threat called into my school, which was not exciting. Found out that it was just somebody that was just trying to get attention, and there was no bomb. And it was a girl, and she went to our high school. But yeah, that was the thing that happened right after Columbine.
Yeah, it was weird because that also means, were you still in college when 9/11 happened?
No, I was. I'm so old. I was already in the workforce when 9/11 happened. I was driving to work when the first plane hit.
Was it tough to find a spot on the shoulder because you were laughing so hard, or was it like a?
No. So if we want to transition to 9/11 talk, I was driving to work listening to the Dallas sports radio station at the time, and they were speculating as to what hit the building, and they kind of said, "Oh, it looks like a plane," and they're like, "Nah, there's no way that could be it." So then obviously played out further, became obvious what was happening. And my workplace let us go like by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock that morning. They're like, nobody can work today, just go home. So I went home, and you watch the news for a while, but you kind of seeing the same footage over and over. So
yeah, that was a beating.
Yeah, and so my next logical step was, you know what, everybody's watching this. I really need like bread and milk and stuff. So I was like the only guy at a Tom Thumb on the afternoon of 9/11 shopping.
The cashier's looking at you like, really?
Yeah, like Pat Tillman is taking off his shoulder pads to go join the Army Rangers, and I'm like debating white or wheat bread.
Yeah, do I want the feta that's made of skim because it's healthier for me potentially, but it doesn't have the same melting point.
And then Pat Tillman's brother sitting there giving you a finger.
So let's not we're not just going to go through the gamut of tragedy nostalgia. We didn't really have tragic nostalgia. What for anyone that's listening, new people and old, Jay has been a mainstay on the podcast in terms of feedback. You're probably our most dedicated listener, even
Thank you.
I think, it's honestly,
it's you and the guy
cool.
from Germany.
It's cool, yeah, and some random dude in Ethiopia that's downloading that we've never gotten any feedback from. And I know you're a mark for a lot of the wrestling stuff we do. So if you wanted to talk wrestling, we can. But specifically, the best feedback we got from you was how excited you were about Josh's quiz.
Well, Josh is obviously my favorite on the show, so that's why I pick on him. But the infamous geography quiz.
Trying to take my win.
I mean, infamous is a word that I'm not sure I'd associate with the quiz that we're talking about.
Okay. Well, because
acclaimed, award-winning, best-selling.
That's all fair.
That's
Thank
selling. You got like royalties from this?
You hold on. You guys are getting paid.
So, but with y'all's show, I was there from issue 1. I think my first exposure, I guess before y'all's show started, was just Marty kind of popped up on Twitter just out of nowhere. Like I had never seen any
Sting from the rafters.
Yeah, dude, it was definitely an RKO type. Like, where did this guy come from? Type of thing. And so we had, kind of connected on there. And I could tell you listened to It's Just Banner, which is also on the Blowout Podcast Network.
Wonderful podcast.
Yeah. And then you guys started your thing. And I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And being totally honest, I do enjoy it. But things that I enjoy are things that are very well done or things that are complete train wrecks. And when y'all started out, like anybody doing the first episode, I think my first kind of feedback or response was, hey, I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed you guys recording in the most cavernous conference room that's ever been constructed on Earth.
Yeah, I didn't know how to reduce noise from recording at that point. I think the only editing I ever did, because the setup was one microphone in the middle of a room, right? It was 3 guys, 1 mic. And I never really tried to edit anything out unless...
Josh took a shit on it.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, the first thing I ever edited out was our first episode. Josh said something in the first 3 minutes, and we were 3 minutes into this show, and he's like, "You've got to cut that out. You can't keep that in the podcast." Because he said something about a referee in the Premier League. Josh, do you remember that?
Yeah, but what did I say?
Well, so Josh runs a pretty successful soccer podcast solo, and it was a female referee.
Oh, no.
And Josh said something, and we laughed, and then he just got real serious in the face, and he goes, "Listen, we can't do it'll kill me. It'll kill my show." He pulled the plug immediately before we ever got to beat his ass with Barry Sanders talk, because that's what we thought the show was going to end up being.
Oh, wow.
Well, we thought the show was going to end up being like historical sports topics and educating one another on it, because like we all had very different experiences. Me growing up in Texas, Kyle in New York, and Josh in England.
Then we realized that we didn't know shit.
And it was also a beating to do like the homework, to like the beats on the show didn't feel natural, and we play video games every Friday night, and we just shoot the shit. And we had maybe recorded like 3 episodes, and then Kyle and I were harping on something. I think we were comparing NFL teams to like 90s artists, musicians, or something like that, which is something we brought to the show later, I think, eventually. But Josh is like, this is probably what needs to be the podcast, like us enjoying ourselves instead of pulling teeth through things.
Yeah, because I think if people want to hear, somebody break down the analytics of the cover 2 and the 3-4 and all that, they know where to find that. It's unique if you have a group of people, 2, 3, 4 people that can sit around and tell, whether it's old stories or just start on a given topic, and everybody comes in with different ideas, and then it just flows for an hour. Like it's like you're just, what you're listening to, it's like you're hanging out with them. And I think that's why this format works for a lot of people.
One of the first things Jay ever sent to me was, "So you're going to be the official podcast of the AAF, huh?"
Oh my god!
Because
I comments posted before a disaster.
That was a great disservice to you guys that fell apart. Meaning the league fell apart, because I felt like that was a great niche that you guys were going to carve out. Because I remember listening to the episode where you all picked a favorite team and you were like breaking down the rosters and stuff, and I was all in. I was taking notes. I was ready to go, and then the rug got pulled out from under you.
Yeah, and it did before the league even folded, when they decided that only 2 teams would be worth watching because it was such bad football. And in kind of putting these two things together, we have the XFL coming up, and I have a quiz for you three.
Well,
This isn't going to end well at all.
I just became exponentially more interested in the Dallas Renegades. Eric Dungy's now on the team.
Is he really?
He got signed today.
Eric Dungy replacing Landry Jones.
I assume Landry Jones is on some sort of injured reserve list.
Yeah, I don't know how that works there. So here's how the quiz is going to go.
Is the injured reserve list also going to be a shootout in the XFL?
To get him cleared, he's got to bang his head against the wall and prove that he's not.
I would imagine they don't know how the injured reserve list is going to work yet. I mean, they just released the rule book 3 days ago.
Yeah, a month before kickoff.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out tactically how we're going to do this. So there are 8 teams.
By Mr. McMahon.
There are 8 teams in the XFL, and the first 2001 version of the XFL also had 8 teams.
Oh man!
In no particular order, y'all just kind of shoot them out here. Can y'all name all 16 teams?
No.
I am going to be fucked with the ones in 2001 because I didn't even know it existed back then.
It didn't make it across the pond.
No, it did not.
You need
Las Vegas Outlaws, is that
yeah.
Okay, that's one. Yeah, Las Vegas Outlaws.
Okay,
Tampa Bay Vipers.
Okay, there's another one.
Dallas Renegades.
Okay. Thanks, Kyle.
There was a team in Memphis.
There was a team in Memphis.
Were they the Rage? Which one was the Rage?
The Rage was a team, but I'm not going to give you the city. It wasn't Memphis.
Chicago Rage.
No, but the Chicago team used to have, it was Brock Lesnar's music before Brock Lesnar had it. That was how they came out to the field. A little tidbit.
Oh, weren't one of the ones before in 2001 Hitmen?
Yes.
Does
you guys are
Hitmen
killing this quiz, but you cannot name the city or the team name. So we have the Las Vegas Outlaws.
Hitmen, is it?
No, it's not.
That would make sense.
Let's start with the champion. Tommy Maddox won the MVP with this team.
Los Angeles.
That is correct, but do you have a team name?
I don't know. Chalkboards. I don't know.
Demons.
Demons is a team name, but it's not Los Angeles.
The future LeBron Jameses.
Kyle, say again?
Future LeBron Jameses.
No.
Oh, man.
There was also a team in Birmingham, Birmingham.
The Lightnings. The Hurricanes.
Oh, God, you were closer on the first one.
The Lightnings.
The Electricity.
The Electricity.
All right, do we want to try it? Here. Let's try to finish. So we have so far the Las Vegas Outlaws, the Tampa Bay Vipers, and the Dallas Renegades.
Something called the Hitmen somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere at the Hitmen, somewhere Chicago, or Memphis and something in Rage, something in Demons, Los Angeles and something. Any of the new teams? You want me to start reading them off? Because honestly,
no, I can get a bunch of the new teams. I reckon.
Here, let's knock out the new teams then.
Okay. Well, we've got the DC Defenders
and the Renegades,
and the Renegades,
Houston Roughnecks,
and the Vipers.
Roughnecks and Vipers. Yeah.
DC Defenders, the LA Wildcats.
Yep. We got a team in New York, St. Louis, and Seattle. St. Louis Battlehawks. Yep.
Yep. New York Guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seattle Dragons.
Okay, cool. So we got all the new ones done. And for some reason, Las Vegas Outlaws stuck out enough as the only one. So I'm going to give you the...
Where Hate Me was?
Was it? I thought he played for... It doesn't matter.
No, He Hate Me was on Las Vegas.
Was he really?
Yeah, because it was the very first game they televised.
When the kickoff, the guy tore his ACL, like they had the coin toss dash or whatever it was, and
he broke his when they rolled the ball out or whatever. He tore his ACL. I think another guy broke his collarbone or his arm doing that. Great idea.
The Rock was there.
Somebody threw a table.
All right, so Las Vegas Outlaws. We have the Orlando Rage. We have the Chicago Enforcers. The New York / New Jersey Hitmen, which is a wheels off team name.
It's so unstable. And so many, I don't know if it was the Canadian League or the Arena League or the World League did that too. Did the New York, New Jersey thing. I have never understood it.
I don't get it. Like they don't like each other.
Are they using the Hudson River as the slash?
We had the Los Angeles Extreme. Your XFL champions, defending champions. Tommy Maddox. They had the quarterback constantly hanging from the top of a ladder. The Birmingham Thunderbolts. The San Francisco Demons. And the Memphis Maniacs with an X.
Yeah. And their logo looks terrible. It's like a guy making a weird scream face.
Yeah, in hindsight, like I was looking at just kind of preparing for this thing. I was looking at the old logos, and I've always kind of liked the Rage one because the guy's neck is just so big. It's ridiculous.
Marty loves a big neck.
Listen, you got to respect a big neck. The Maniacs one is wheels off and scary. It's not great.
Can somebody explain to me what a thunderbolt is?
Huh. That's a tough one.
I was going to lay out. I think thunderbolts are native to England.
Are they?
Queen did.
I know it.
In Bohemian Rhapsody.
True. No, I'm all out. I'm not sure what a thunderbolt is.
I
sounds
know
good though.
When the thunder rolls, but I don't know much about thunderbolts.
I wonder, since it was Birmingham, and we've since had team names like the Iron, if it was thundering bolts like on maybe a machine that are rattling. Although they're showing lightning in their logo, so that kind of blows that out.
That's the kind of long-term storytelling that Vince isn't capable of. So I don't
That is true. But the biggest issue with the first iteration of the XFL, obviously, is they had how many teams was that? How many teams did you list off? Was it just 8?
Yep.
Okay, they didn't have too many teams. They just didn't do any preparation to put a football league together.
Yeah, I think did we all? I know Kyle did. The Bruce Pritchard show. Do you listen to the Bruce Pritchard show, Jay?
On occasion. But
did you hear the XFL episode?
Yes. Now, because I listened to all those that I had some previous or enough knowledge that I can appreciate the show. I have about a 20-year gap in my exposure to wrestling. So stuff that happened during that time, unless I've got some context, like I can listen to the show and I have no idea who they're talking about or storylines or anything like that. But I did listen to that one and it was fantastic.
Okay, so that 20-year break, when did you come back to wrestling, and how much wrestling do you watch now?
Probably it was right at 2 years ago that I started watching it again. And I mean, I catch Monday Night Raw and SmackDown pretty much every week. Kind of just hit the highlights on NXT, even though it's very enjoyable. It just doesn't work with my schedule very well. And I'm definitely tuning in for all the pay-per-views, even the ones that are terrible. So
Columbine shook you so hard you stopped watching wrestling?
Almost.
Does that timeline work out?
That's about right. It wasn't quite 20 years, I guess, but I don't know. I think I hit a point. I paid attention to it, I guess, in the late 90s. Wasn't watching it every week, but I paid enough attention to be dangerous. And then I think once I got out of school, I was kind of like, let's leave these foolish things behind, until some buddies of mine got me watching it again and took me to Monday Night Raw here in Dallas, and then I was hooked again.
It is weird, man. It is weird how it comes back because I stopped watching, I guess, probably when WCW died. And probably a little bit before then. And I was out.
I wouldn't say that because when we lived in Richmond, I remember vividly going over to your house and watching a pay-per-view.
Did we maybe watch some pay-per-views? I know I played the video games. But I cannot think of, like, there's so much in that time period that happened that I was just like a mess in my life. So I don't remember almost any of that shit, like, vividly. Yeah. Yeah, we were a goddamn disaster. I mean, we were 20, right? Like, that's what that happens at 20. Yeah, I don't know. So who's your favorite wrestler, Jay?
Currently?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
All right, all time. If you wanna buy yourself.
No. We'll just stick with right now because it's. I don't know. I get told by several people that especially now that he shaved and cut his hair that I look like Daniel Bryan, so I have some affinity for him. But I think my other two favorites right now are probably. I mean, Randy Orton's been around forever, but him and Drew McIntyre probably.
Yeah, I like Drew's awesome. I didn't get a chance to see when Drew apparently was getting buried in 3-man band. So
yeah,
he's never been anything but a badass to me.
Right. That's what everyone who's watched it for any period of time when that comes up, they always bring that up or send me some kind of 3-man band meme just to kick me in the nuts. But
they did him no favors when they brought him in. Like, he was like 20 years old and they're like, he's the next big thing. Put you in an Intercontinental title, like, battles forever with Kofi Kingston.
Well, and we know Kofi doesn't draw any heat until, like, last year. Like,
yeah, on accident.
Yeah, oops. So you look like Daniel Bryan. Are you taller than Daniel Bryan?
Yeah. What is he, about 5'10"?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's looking up about 6 inches.
Oh,
yeah,
look at
like
they got
towering
tall
over me.
Yeah, Kyle is 5'5". 5'5".
Well, that's
I always want to give you like 5'8" because I'm an awful judge of height.
No, I'll tell it again. On our high school basketball program when I was a sophomore, they listed me at 5'6" because they never had anybody shorter than that.
They didn't have the 5 wasn't enabled in like that second column of numbers. They're like, I don't know what to do. Just put.
They only had it available in Comic Sans, and they didn't want to use it.
It was the algorithm where if like you select the first number as 5, the only thing they could select after that was 6 through 11, and they're just like, well, listen, there's nothing we could do here. Yeah. You're either going to be
inside.
When they tried to do it, it said 5 apostrophe #num.
Put lifts in your boots just to.
I played in goldfish heel boots. Yes. It's great.
Oh right. Well, Kyle, you're doing a great job. So keep up the good work.
Thanks. Fighting the good fight.
So Jay, what do you do for a living?
I work in the very generic business community of insurance.
Do you sell or do you settle?
I'm more on the settling, administering end of things.
Okay, you do such a good job representing yourself. I figured you were a salesman, so I guess I got that incorrect.
No, that's not. I wouldn't be good at that day to day.
No, it sounds like a beating. Like I worked in restaurants. Kyle worked in restaurants for a long time. Josh worked in bars and casinos.
Bookie.
No, it wasn't a casino. It was a sports betting store. Yeah, but it wasn't a casino.
But this was on the other side of the world.
This was, yes.
It was in China.
Yeah. So Jay, do you know any English people back home in Dallas?
No, I don't believe that I do, actually.
Do you have any questions for Josh, or do you just want to remind him that? Do you want to remind him that the Queen blew a 13 colony lead, and
Well, yeah, I mean, if I had questions, I didn't know if we had a translator on hand so that he would be able, to communicate back and forth. But
Yeah, unfortunately, this doesn't come with subtitles, so
yeah, I know
we're struggling.
One. That's all right.
for a little while, I used to put out, I used to run the podcast through this video service. It'd make like a little Instagram ready block, and it would have 30 seconds of audio, and you could choose to let it transcribe for you, and you could afterwards, edit any words. It never got hung up on me. It never got hung up on what Kyle was saying, but boy, it could not transcribe Josh for anything, especially if the episode we were talking about soccer and he's throwing out like 2 or 3 soccer, just footballer names. And it was just, it might as well have been in like an ampersand, a percentage sign, an underscore. Like, it just botched everything about it.
They put umlauts over every one of his letters.
They figured he was Dutch.
Oh, just culturally biased.
Do you have kids, right, Jay?
Yeah, I have 2 sons.
Okay, 2 sons. And one's, I
one named
believe,
Brett?
if I remember from the...
No, and then neither one of them collect reptiles or will die in their non-air conditioned apartment either.
It's an amazing ironic note.
Have you ever... You don't have a Bowflex laying around, right? Like, it's just...
No. There's no Bowflex. There's no lat pull machines here in the house or anything like that.
No enclosed pool area. Just, it's
No.
pretty... So do we want to go down... Honestly, this is showing how we just were going to wing this thing. Do you guys want to go down the nostalgia path again?
Yes.
Okay.
It depends on what path it is.
Well,
really.
Josh, why don't you choose?
Oh Lord! All right,
You had to speak up. You did it to yourself.
that's absolutely fake news. Kyle's piped up immediately with yes, but he's too short for you to have heard him.
You say short?
Yep,
It's absolutely just so rude.
I'm just going down the nostalgia trail. He was talking about his basketball career.
Career. Yes.
It was a short one, wasn't it?
Oh.
God, he was a bastard to square up against too. Like everything Kyle's ever told me, that he was just a motherfucker on that court, getting underneath and into people's rib cage.
Oh yeah, no, I can imagine he's just a weasel.
Yeah. The refs love me.
Hey, we all play our role. I'm not taking shots at you.
Thanks.
All right, what's this choice?
Gosh, you suck.
Yeah, well, I'm all you've got left, Kyle.
I've got nothing left.
Kyle,
what
Kyle,
you got?
perennial nothing.
Got a giant bag of nothing.
What's this choice?
Oh, am I giving you the choice?
You just said, yeah. You
Yes.
said you can choose.
Yeah, that's a free. This is not getting edited out, by the way. So like, this is just producing on the fly. I was going to let you just kind of wing it and figure out what you'd like. But if you want, I have. I know that Josh is. I don't even know if it's Jay's weakness either. But discussing nostalgic music.
No,
Jay,
veto.
you're a metal fan. I know that. And I guess, did you ever have any other phase that you went through before you found Corey and Slipknot?
For sure. I mean, I think we all, you start out listening to whatever your parents listened to, which for me was a lot of, some pop music, but a lot of country music. So I have an affinity for like early, mid to late 80s country music, and then a huge gap, which probably extends all the way to now as far as anything in that genre that I enjoy. But I would say there was definitely probably like junior high and early high school was a little bit of whatever rap or hip hop phase that I had. And then definitely big time grunge phase, from I guess 91, 92 until the mid 90s when that started to fade out a little bit. And then, the 90s was grunge the first half and probably nu metal the second half.
So
nu metal. Here we
go. So when you say nu metal, like Metallica doesn't do anything for you?
No, they do plenty for me, but I mean, I'm just talking to what I was listening to, actively or seeking out new artists and stuff. If you're talking
non-point.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any
Soulfly,
if you have any Cold Chamber or Deftones or Head PE questions, go ahead and fire off.
I have a question. Yay or nay, Static X?
That's a very just one hit wonder right there. I have to go nay.
Damn,
Thank
man,
you.
I feel like I'm the only person in the world that likes Static X, man. I was such a P1 for Static X.
Like, other than, I mean, obviously, they have the one album. I mean, you have Push It and Wisconsin Death Trip on there, but is there a sundry of tracks that you enjoy?
Yeah, so the entire Wisconsin Death Trip album, really big fan. Okay. And then the next album was Machine. And that was when they had there were maybe 7 tracks on that album that I really, really liked. The rest of them, as I'll admit that there's a lot of Static X that sounds a lot like Static X. Like it's a lot of repetitiveness. And then the album after Machine, I cannot remember the name of it. It's about the time I left that. And then so did Wayne Static, and then we find out later that he left this mortal plane.
Yeah. They don't record any more albums.
No, you know what? They have a tour, I think, this year, actually.
That sounds like something I'm never going to go to.
Yeah, that would be really bad. Did you ever see him in person?
Yes, I saw them at the Ozfest that we discovered, I think, on Twitter that we were both at. The Ozfest where it was Pantera and Ozzy that headlined.
That was the year 2000, if I remember correctly.
Yep. And there was also that same year an album called Loud Rocks. Did you ever own Loud Rocks?
No, that doesn't sound familiar.
So Loud Rocks was bands that were on the Ozfest tour that year with hip-hop artists collaborating on their songs.
Out.
So you had like Wu-Tang Clan and System of a Down doing Shame on a N. And you had Incubus and Big Pun doing I Don't Want to Be a Playa No More. That album was...
I kind of want to hear that.
You know what? There was one... what is the name of the band? I'm going to go ahead and look it up because the album sucked.
Was that one of them they handed out for free if you're at the show?
Yes.
Okay, because I do have from like 97, I think 98, 99. I don't know if I still have those, but I know I was handed CDs at those shows that I went to. And that show in 2000, you mentioned Soulfly, they played on the second stage. And me and a buddy that went to the show, we went to see them because we were big fans. And I got, whether it was an elbow or a forearm, right in the throat, so hard I dropped to my knees and thought I was about to meet the Lord.
This is where it all ends, is at Ozfest.
Yeah, in a parking lot.
Yeah, it was so fucking hot too, man. It was like 102 degrees.
Oh,
it was
miserable.
Yeah, it was awful. They had that tour, they had the band Kitty, if you remember Kitty.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
And Kitty played on the second stage as well, and they were rough. Taproot was there. I think Reveille might have been there. The opening main stage band was a band called Apartment 26.
Oh, I wish I was going to guess. And isn't that like Geezer Butler's son's band or something like that? I
have no idea, but I never heard of them after that, only to like, when I think about that concert, I would go back and listen to their music because it really was very, Diet 9 Inch Nails.
Okay.
But I remember specifically the story I always tell from that concert is they performed the main stage, and there might have been like 400 or 500 people scattered across the lawn in the seats. And they're trying to pump up these 400 people. So the guy runs from the stage to the edge of the seats where that little walk, the concourse between the lawn and the seats were at the old Smirnoff Amphitheater in Dallas. And he is just singing his heart out. They're rocking out. They're putting on a pretty good song. And some like 10 jabronis start fucking mosh pitting in this concourse. And I see this dude's head get smashed up against the cement wall, and no one helped him. And I had left my seat to go get water at like $5 a pop. And I'm 20 feet away thinking, what if it was you that I thought was going to die in front of me? I thought it was your head, but it was actually an elbow, and it was Soulfly.
It was not, that was not me. I think it wasn't at that show, but you mentioned those types of injuries that you witness. I think the most surreal moment I had at one of those shows was about, I think it was 5 years ago, and it was Korn and Slipknot that played here on Halloween. So imagine that couldn't be any more perfect, just setup-wise. And so it's like the end of the show, and this guy is down in the pit, and somebody rolls up on his leg, or he turns weird, like his ankle is either broken or it's dislocated. Like it's just hanging on his leg, and he's screaming in pain. And we kind of go over there to help people clear out, walk over there to help him. And then I'm like 5 feet from him, and all of a sudden I see someone kneel down, pick this guy up, pick him up and carry him off. And the most surreal moment was not that somebody carried him off, was that when I looked up, the guy was dressed in full costume as somebody from the Mortal Kombat game.
it's Scorpion getting carried out.
And I just it's like one of those moments of self-reflection where you kind of look around and you're like, should I really still be coming to this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm 37 at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe there's VIP seats. I could just sit in a box and watch this, because
that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm trying to think when that was. The band, anybody ever listen to Bullet for My Valentine?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to see them after their second album came out, which I'm thinking this is like 08, 09. So I'm in my early 30s, so I'm not too washed. I'm like y'all, you're in your prime.
Is that what this is?
Yeah. I'm sitting here for 42 minutes and my back is like fucking seizing up, and I'm like, yeah, my prime. Definitely never felt better.
But went to that.
Seizing up at 8:30 this morning.
Oh, they're Welsh, Josh.
Bullet for My Valentine? I have heard of them, to be fair. Never listened to them, but I have heard of them.
Well, I'm at this show at the House of Blues in Dallas, and it was just one of those moments that, gets 3-4 songs into the set, and then you start kind of looking around there on the floor, and you realize half the people that are there with one or both of their parents because they might not be old enough to drive. And that was my other moment of, I need to find something else to listen to, or at least to go attend in person.
That's a tough scene. Did you ever get a chance to witness a show at the Bronco Bowl before they tore it down?
No, and I wish I had, but I wasn't. I don't know when they tore that down, but I know when I was in high school, mid-90s, a lot of people in school would go to different shows and stuff there, so I'd obviously heard of it, but I guess at the time it wasn't really my thing to go to that type of stuff. But now I kind of wish that I did.
Yeah, I think they tore it down in 2003, and I went to a show there that my dad drove me to, speaking of which, and it was 311, and the opening act was Hoobastank.
All right.
And it was one of 3 times that I saw Hoobastank by accident, because they just kept getting tacked onto every concert I was interested in.
They're just following you around.
Yeah, it was awful. All right, so
isn't Hoobastank from across the pond, Josh? Thoughts?
Good question. Don't know. I can find out for you.
Let's take a look. So contentious. California.
Yes.
Oh, the
Across
California.
Lake Louisville.
I thought maybe one of them had played like midfielder for Norwich City or something.
Just
You know,
because
some
the
of them
O is
could have
their
been.
name- Just because the O in Hoobastank, the two O's together, is connected, doesn't mean that they're Dutch.
That's right. That's a good point.
I'm going to throw out a couple bands. I just want to hear immediate reaction. Josh, I'm sorry, this isn't going to be for you. Apex Theory.
I know a guy named Cody that really likes him. I think that's who that is.
No, that's Apex.
Yeah.
No, that's Apex Twin.
No, never mind.
Yeah, Cody likes Apex Twin.
Sorry, Cody.
There's no chance he's listening.
But he appreciates it.
Here, throw out a band for Josh. Kaiser Chiefs.
Ooh.
They're a bit shite. I did like them when I was younger, though.
Oasis.
Yeah, I like Oasis.
Don't you
Lost
have to?
Prophets.
I think it is by law, yeah. I think when you sign the birth certificate, your mum and dad, they hereby vow that Wonderwall will be one of the first songs you memorize by heart.
It's a great song.
How about
It is a banger,
Supergrass?
Mate, Supergrass are good.
Supergrass are
God,
fantastic.
what did they do? What was the one...
They sang a song where they had Muppet bodies, and it was really weird. It was pumping on your stereo. They had Caught by the Fuzz.
What was their massive one? All Right. All Right was the one that was huge, I think, for a long time, at least over here.
These are the most English names. Here are the band members of Supergrass.
Is one of them named Nigel?
There's guitarist Gaz Coombs, drummer.
That's just Coombs. We know somebody with that surname in America, Mike.
Do we?
Yes, Tyrone.
That's not his last name.
Pretty sure it is.
No. All right. Well, I don't think he's
Anyway.
English. Danny Goffey, Mick Quinn, and Rob Coombs. They said they're a three-piece, but they listed 4 people. All right, Kyle, I don't want to hijack. Keep going.
No, that's the Queen's 3 right there.
Their associated acts are the Hot Rats.
The Hot Rats?
British people and name it. Oh, with Nigel Godrich. You got it, dude.
Okay, we got a Nigel. Good.
Yeah, we got a Nigel.
How about Boy Hits Car?
Never heard of that.
That's more screamo, though, right? I don't know if Jay ever...
Really?
What about Fear Factory?
Isn't that a show on NBC?
What about Spine Shank?
Spine Shank was my shit.
No,
I
bad.
definitely listened to Spine Shank.
They had at least 2 albums that I owned at some point in time.
I don't think I ever owned one after the Height of Callousness one.
I think there was one before that.
Ooh, I might need to... That's going to be
hold-
the intro music, maybe, if I can get a hold of whatever song.
What about
That'll be
Pressure 4-5?
No,
I
it
don't
doesn't sound
think-
familiar.
Yeah, same here.
You probably enjoy that. What about Lost Prophets?
Is that the Rooftop song, or am I thinking of somebody else?
Is that Last Train Home?
That is definitely
Mate, ain't the Lost Prophets with the pedo?
Yeah, the pedo singer?
Yep.
Oh, no.
I don't want it to go down there. I wanted to see if somebody would.
Yeah, you might have been too old. You might have been too old before they got big. You weren't the demographic.
It was like 03-ish when Rooftops came out. Also
What about
high
Crazy Town?
Ooh, Come My Lady. They were booed off the stage at Ozfest in Dallas.
Oh, I learned that bass line, and I'm not happy about it. Really not happy about it.
They feature a song on that Loud Rocks album with the Alcoholics, that's spelled with 2 Ks, for the song Only When I'm Drunk. So Kyle, check that one out.
How about we also talk about when their lead singer decided to go and make a solo album?
I
I
didn't.
bet that was great.
Look up Shifty Shell Shock. Have fun.
Will do.
Thoughts on Sugar Ray?
Love them.
They're fun. They're very TRL.
Yeah, see, I was squarely in the TRL demo because before I moved to Virginia, when my parents split, my mom remarried, and that was December of 95. And before that point, I'm not sure I'd ever seen a music video. Like, we just didn't, it wasn't on our TV at home ever. And I always remember the first music video I ever saw, which was Sunday Morning by No Doubt.
Okay.
And then the second one was Hypnotized by Notorious B.I.G. And they were back to back, and my world had just completely shifted on its head, because before any of this, I hadn't heard either type of music. I had never seen a music video, and I was just like, what is this madness? Because at that point, I'm like subjected to what my parents listened to, right? So it was 38 Special, Leonard Skinner, Charlie Daniels, and then my mom was like Rod Stewart and Tracy Chapman.
Oh yeah, Fast Car. That's a banger forever.
It is. It still is a banger, actually.
And
I still listen to.
If it ever gets in your head, it cannot escape. It is there for the entire day. Big time earworm.
It turns into a slow car.
Eventually, you drive your own car into a concrete embankment.
Yeah, it becomes a direction more than it is a.
So if we real quick to sidetrack a little bit, Spineshank's first album was called Strictly Diesel, and it is better than The Height of Callousness.
Okay, yeah, then
that's my official review. It even has I believe, a Beatles cover on there. Josh?
Oh, Marty's out. Marty's out.
Yeah, I'm out on Beatles. Well, but he's trying to loop in his favorite host, Josh, who's muted because music talk. Generally, I'm out on, but we're just in my wheelhouse a little bit. So Josh is tagged out.
It's not even that I don't like it. It's just half the stuff you're talking about I've never even heard of. So I think it's either came too early for me or whatever, but it just never made it across the pond. I was too busy listening to the Hot Rats.
Jay, do you listen? Do you listen to rap now?
No. I mean, I barely like any current music. I have very little exposure to.
What age did that happen for you?
I probably gave up. It was probably like early to mid 30s. So yeah, it's probably like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Which,
not gonna lie, I'm kind of there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just get to a point where you just don't really want to make the effort. But I think the not really the advent of, but the exponential growth of the podcast has attributed to that significantly, because either I'm listening to sports talk radio, and if that's a show I don't listen to, or it's during commercial, it's just something easy. Yeah. It's just something easy that you can pop on, that you know what you're going to get. It's not like I'll just turn it to the FM and who knows what you're going to get song wise. You know exactly what kind of content you're going to get. So,
yeah, I think the only new music that I end up finding myself is if I'm ever cooking and I just have a Spotify playlist that's like suggested songs, and I'll be listening to new alternative playlists that this guy curates like every week, and half the songs are okay, and then I'll find one that I'm like, okay, cool, never heard of them, I'll add it. I won't actively go listen to it. It just might come up on like a random shuffle.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bad new music.
In pop music, like, I had no idea who Lizzo was probably until 6 weeks ago or something. Like, I think she's been around for a couple years now. And
yeah, but I don't think she was in the public. I don't think she hit big until last summer, maybe.
Well, I don't think you really need to phrase it that way. That seems insensitive. But
did you see her put herself through a table?
Was that really her?
I think it was. But give me 10 words on what you thought of her Rikishi outfit.
Completely unnecessary and a poor example for our youth.
For our youth. Oh, God, you are over 40, man.
I thought it was just ridiculous. It
was unnecessary. It really was, though.
It's not like the thing that really offends me. I just look at that and think, I don't care who's doing it. That's just dumb. Like there's no creativity with that. There's no cleverness. There's nothing to it. Like I think she's better than that. Even though I couldn't name one song, she's obviously talented. And I think she's better than that. So that's my Lizzo rant.
So do you think she should have gone with painting on both cheeks, like a mural where it's kind of like a laugher? Like one side's like the Indian crying, the other side's like a truck throwing out an empty Bud Light.
Or just the laughing and crying mask that they have like at the theater.
She changes her name to just Drama.
I mean, just do something. People will show their ass everywhere.
Well, I think we've shown our ass on this episode. I don't want to cut us off too early. It's late for us East Coasters. It's past Josh's bedtime because he's on English time still.
Yeah, it's time for him to get up and go to work.
Not far.
He's got to go. He's got to go to the mill or something.
It's probably tea time for him.
What do they do in England? I have no idea.
What do you mean? What do they do?
I don't know. This is my lack of preparation.
They exit.
What do they do?
I'd be more surprised if you came in. You were just like, I have this list of 20 English villages. Can you tell me your opinion on each one of them?
And put them out on a map.
Yeah. How do you feel about Thornston or just whatever?
Lower Uncton. Your thoughts?
That sounds like a real place.
Josh, Ipswich.
Ipswich? Oh, less said the better.
Yeah, it's kind of the Forney of England.
See, it's the hardest part about this episode is that 3 of us are P1s. I have really not listened to the ticket consistently in 2 or 3 years, so I'm kind of almost excommunicated P1. 2 of us have lived in Texas, the other 2 haven't. And there's just
I listened to the ticket way too much at work.
Yeah, that's Kyle's the biggest P1 on this podcast.
Okay, very nice.
So do we want to spend before we get out of here an in memoriam for Mike Rhyner?
Well, he didn't die; he just retired.
They kept emphasizing that so much that it makes me almost concerned. like once is enough. And I know Gordo's doing a shtick, but George, I think, said it 3 times too. And
I think it was just the way that they were presenting it, and there was a lot of, I don't know. I mean, sadness was at least part of, when they were discussing it. So I think they just kind of reverted to that. I mean, it's a station that almost never takes anything seriously. So when they take something serious, I think if someone is just getting in the middle of that, they're probably thinking, oh my God, what happened? He's gone. He has to be dead. He was super old,
It also spawned a great drop, which is the Mike walking off drop.
Yes. So he dropped that video. I think they were supposed to coordinate when he dropped the video on Twitter with when they were going to make the announcement on the air. And
he did it 15 minutes early.
At least, because I was scrolling through and just saw he posted something and it had a video attached to it where he's sitting in a chair.
Yeah, it was at 4:02 Eastern time when it dropped.
And the first thing I thought of, and it had something that the message he put was essentially seemed like he was hinting at goodbye. So I was like, I think he's retiring. And I'd watched the video, and I had texted friends of mine who weren't listening at the time that he was gone, and they were like, they haven't said anything on the air. And yeah, it's 15 minutes later before they were able to get to it.
I actually got in my car. I had no idea. Got in my car to leave the office at 4:30, and I turned it. Oh no, I left at 5:30. But with the app, you can go back an hour. So I put that on. The first thing I heard was the Hardline starting up, and then play the video. I was like, huh, okay,
yeah,
that's a I
don't know.
It's kind of a rough one. Rhyner wasn't my favorite person, but I don't dislike anybody except for, and I don't even dislike Norm. It just, he's not my speed, right? Like, I like pretty much everybody on the ticket. So when it happened, I don't know, I'm not an active listener that much, so it didn't like bum me out, but it's going to be really weird to not have him on there, especially because they're going to be playing drops from him forever.
Right.
Where it's fruit salad with doo-doo for the grapes and all that.
It just stammers.
Josh could not have a bigger question mark over his head right now after what you just said.
Josh, whenever... so, did you have a particular DJ in England, whether it be Sports Talk or Fire in the Booth or whatever else that y'all had over there, that when there was a retirement, it was really, really big for you?
No, not really. Like, I mean, there are times when like sports commentators retire and stuff, but not really. I'm sure there is like big radio names that retire, but not that I've listened to.
Have you ever been affected by one of those announcements?
No.
What will happen when Jon Snow leaves TV?
The big fat quiz of the year gets
yes.
The big fat quiz of the year gets unbelievably weaker.
Okay.
But otherwise,
he's a news anchor. No, he's just a news. I don't watch the news because it's just depressing.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's not much has changed. If we want to just end on a nostalgic note, the news has always kind of sucked. Jay, did your parents watch the news every night?
Or
do you watch it every night now?
Never. I can't even remember the last time I sat down to watch the local news.
The only time I've ever come close to it is if there's an anticipated winter storm or for tornado coverage.
I think if I know someone who's going to be on the news, like someone was interviewed for something, that could be someone from a radio show that I listen to or, whatever. But like, I'm thinking even more like on a personal level, like, hey, I was at this event and they interviewed me. I'm probably going to be on the news. Like I would watch for that reason, but I can just get the information in a million other sources. I don't need to watch Jim and Claire, sit behind a desk for 30 minutes.
Yeah. And switch from 3 different cameras on the same canned line or whatever.
Right. So, while I have you guys on here, and this can probably bring Josh back in, today is what? What is today? The 9th?
Today's the 9th, I believe.
The 9th of January, yep.
All right, so we are 17 days away from the Royal Rumble, which I will be attending in Houston, Texas.
Oh, shit.
Nice. Look at you.
How do you guys think this is going to play out? Any thoughts? Any thoughts on who's coming out number 2 behind Lesnar in the order? Are we going to see anything that's a big surprise? And I think my last question is, do you think they have a plan already in place to take this thing to WrestleMania? Because I feel like they've got something for this card, and then beyond this, I don't know where they're headed.
I've got an idea of where they might go with the Royal Rumble. I do think that with Lesnar coming out 1, I think that you're going to have like 4 guys in a row that like he's just going to toss over, and then they're going to bring out somebody like a Braun Strowman or Roman Reigns or something like that will last in there for a while. But I don't think that, and whoever eliminates Lesnar is probably going to face him at WrestleMania.
See, that sounds so weak to me, though, and I think it's probably more than likely, really, that it's going to happen. But just trying to imagine how many fucking Paul Heyman promos I need to sit through for 3 months before Brock would face off against, hypothetically, Jay's younger brother, Daniel Bryan. And that just seems like such a whip, dude.
It probably will be, but I don't think that that's going to be the person that wins the Rumble.
So do you think the winner of the Rumble is going to be challenging The Fiend?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
I think the winner of the Rumble is going to be challenging Adam Cole for the championship. Is going to be Keith Lee.
Ooh.
Even after the recent NXT?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the odds. Jay, do you know who the betting odd favorite are for both the men and the women's?
No, I haven't looked at it. I mean, I thought that Roman Reigns was the odds-on favorite for the men, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right on that one at least.
Because that's what I heard even weeks back, that this is all headed for Roman against The Fiend at WrestleMania for the Universal title.
Yeah, I heard the same.
That's very possible.
I've never been. I don't think any of us, and Jay, I really don't know your opinion on it one way or the other, but I don't think any of us hate Roman, right? Like, it's always been the booking of Roman that irked people. But he's been, since he came out with a big W against cancer, he's been booked off
Since
to
he
the
went over
side.
against cancer.
Yes. He went over against lymphoma or whatever the shit he had. Leukemia. Was it leukemia?
Yeah. He threw leukemia over the ropes. Yeah.
It seemed to have been a proper squash match by the sound of it.
Both of Leukemia's feet touched the ground, and the referees ruled him out. But
Fucking
since he's been back, it feels like they have not been putting the jet fuel on him. Like, they've been trying to do it organically. And
Because jet fuel causes cancer.
oh god, I thought we were gonna go back to 9/11.
Man.
Same.
I hope that Roman wins, because I think at this point, if there's ever been a time, I think he's earned it now. And I wasn't against his runs before, but it did always still feel icky, because it was kind of just like, you have the whole company behind you, and we know this is all written anyways, but like, give me something, right? Like, and not like the same old, like, oh cool, he's going to punch Vince McMahon and going into that well.
Well, and if he wins the Rumble, I mean, are we all supposed to support the good guy against the evil Fiend? People don't hate the Fiend, so they're not going to want him to lose.
Yeah, I think that's a wall you're just going to have to bang your head against constantly, because they're never going to understand that, I don't think.
Right.
Ever.
Well, we're going to be able to get treated to a red ring with worms being shown up on the map.
God, I forgot about the worm ring.
Oh,
So would I.
Where are they doing the WrestleMania this year?
It's in Tampa.
Tampa.
So it's outdoor, and they're just going to have floodlights, red floodlights.
That's the worst. Well, I don't want to say the worst thing they've come up with related to that character, but it's high up there.
No, I think it's the worst. I think conceptually, I think it's extremely cool. I think that after the first time, for them to be like, yeah, that worked out well, is absolutely baffling, because it hurts. It is not fun to watch.
No, not at all.
Watch it.
I bet it's even more difficult in
back.
person.
Oh God, I heard. Oh, based on just Reddit and Twitter, it seems like it doesn't affect in person if you're like in that middle distance, but if you're really far away or really up close, it's a huge ass whip.
What made it worse was that the first time that they did it was in a fucking Hell in a Cell.
It's already hard to see.
They had to look through the chains.
Yep, all the mesh and that bullshit.
Oh.
What was the Great Khali match? The Punjabi prison. They're going to do it on the Punjabi prison next, where it's even harder to see. I think Roman wins. If we're just doing predictions, Roman. I know that Shayna is the betting favorite right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to go
Charlotte.
Asuka. Even no, Asuka's already done it, hadn't she?
Yeah. Well, and Asuka is fighting Becky too.
Yeah.
Okay, then give me Charlotte.
Ronda Rousey's taking it.
You think she's coming back?
Yeah.
It's a full year arc with Becky Lynch.
What about Ruby Riott? Didn't she do?
I'm in. Sign me up.
Yeah, I'm here for Ruby.
Marty's going Dana Brooke.
Dana Brooke, all day Dana Brooke, yeah. Who signed like a new 5-year deal, I think, with WWE, in case y'all missed that.
Yeah, I saw the recent listings for like highest paid people, and she's reasonably up there. She's like in the top 10 highest paid women.
Yeah, I think it's because she has, I think it's the market adjusting for like influencer money on Instagram? Because I think she's pretty big into the bodybuilding community, and that's a good face for them.
Yeah, true.
Because her ex-boyfriend died, and he was a big body. Yeah, he was like one of the biggest, most well-known bodybuilders on like Instagram, and he passed away a couple years ago.
I mean, Jinder Mahal has paid big money too for, the Indian market and all that sort of shit.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Massive, so he gets paid a shit ton as well.
Dude, I'm so jealous you're going to fucking Royal Rumble. That is...
Yeah, that would be really
good. That's bucket list for me. Over Mania, I think.
Really?
Well, maybe.
Yeah, no.
Just because Mania is so long.
Maybe you'll get stuck in front of the same guy that we were stuck in front of at Night of Champions.
Oh God. What kind of seats do you have, Jay?
They're having it at Minute Maid Park where the Astros play.
Oh.
So we are. It's in the lower level. I'm trying to think of how many rows up we are. But we are positioned where I think if they did it the same as last year, because they had it in a ballpark last year, where they came out when the music hit, they were actually walking out of the dugout. So we're, I think, about 15, 20 rows up above the dugout where they'll come out to walk to the ring.
Well,
I thought that you might be positioned, in center field so you can steal signs as well.
Yeah, I'll have the trash can.
Thanks. Good.
Do you want to come on this show and tell us about it after?
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's see. Let me see here. So my daughter's birthday is the 28th. We have the 23rd. It would be the 6th. It would be like a week removed. Do you want to pencil in 2/6?
Yeah.
Or do we want to just not do a show until the 30th? I'm kind of talking to Kyle and Josh too, and you, Jay, if it's optional.
Well, flexible.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, then let's have this will be the last episode until Jay returns.
Oh wow!
On the 30th.
What an honor!
Is that coming from who's got the guitar riffs going on in the background?
Not me. I hear the Colt.
Wife.
The what?
Wife.
Is it Floribama?
Yeah, man. She's
God almighty.
Drinking it down.
Let's get her on. See what she thinks about Daniel Bryan.
Oh man! Oh boy! Kyle's Josh and I's wife. Josh, God, that made it sound like we're sharing. Josh's wife and my wife both may not be just outright defined wrestling fans, but they'll sit there and watch it with us, and maybe be looking at their phone or whatever else, or knitting or whatever it might be.
My wife detests it.
Oh man, Kyle's wife is she is not a fan.
Yeah, mine pretty much thinks that I'm an idiot, and she walked in. I guess not this past Monday, the one prior, the Lana Lashley wedding.
Were you crying when Liv interrupted and she asked why you were crying?
She walked in, she looked at me, she looked at the TV, looked back at me, and basically just shook her head. And I just don't understand this, and just walked out.
Yeah,
it's always times like that though. Like they people who are critics of it always walk in on a scene that is just horrific.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a tough one. I think my mom comes and she drives and visits us for a few weekends a year to come see her granddaughter. And without fail, she comes on a WWE pay-per-view almost every single time. Like, it just happens to work out that way. And there was it might have been the Mickey James and Alexa fat shaming Nia angle.
Oh, I remember that one.
She sat in on. And she's a hairstylist, so she always has hot sports opinions about the Usos' hair. She hates it. It's too greasy and all this other stuff.
That's culturally insensitive.
Yeah, she's from New Orleans, and she's not going to listen to this podcast. She's not super PC,
No, her Facebook would say no.
Oh no, you follow her on Facebook?
I don't follow anything on Facebook. She follows me.
Oh, she has tweeted out. She has posted on Facebook the Ewan McGregor Jesus picture a whole bunch, hadn't she?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were Tim in his Jedi clothing, and it's like this if you like Jesus. Or are you brave enough to like this?
Post this picture of Jesus. Yeah.
It was a simpler time without Facebook. I hate it, but also things like Twitter wouldn't be possible, and we wouldn't have Jay on the show.
That's true. I really appreciate you guys having me on. This has been very enjoyable, and it sounds like I get to return, so even better.
Yeah. Take every good and bad note you can think. Since you're going to be in Houston, I know there's definitely going to be some bad, and we'll hit us up in 3 weeks.
All right, it's a date.
Excellent. That's going to do it for this Sports Trebuchet, issue number 38. Kyle, Josh, and finally Jay, say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Happy New Year.
Oh, happy new decade, fellas.
Happy new decade.
All right, I had to send it.
Hi, my name is Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And we are the hosts of a statistics and sports podcast called Juicing the Numbers.
We cover the NFL, college football, MLB, and the NHL with anything that we like to talk about in between.
If you like sports and the numbers behind it, come check out our show, Juicing the Numbers, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at JuicingPod.